And actually, the Proof Pass has fast become the most valuable membership-based NFT in all of crypto. You are never going to sell the top. Some of our teams have made over $1 million in 1 month.
Welcome to another episode of the AltCryptoCast, a very special one as we're in a different studio right now. We're in Dubai during Token 2049. And next to Fritz, we also got a very special guest today. We've got JP, serial entrepreneur and also founder of Proof Platform. So JP, good to have you here. I'm excited for the episode today.
Awesome.
Could you give some information on who you are, who's JP, what's Proof, just a regular introduction?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, thanks for having me, guys. Good to be here. It feels like this has been a long time coming, so good to have it. Who am I? So, yeah, JP, as you mentioned at the start of your intro, serial entrepreneur. I guess I turned 40 years old 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
So I'm a dinosaur in this industry, trying to keep up with you young bucks. So, and I've only ever had a full-time job for 1 year in my whole life. So, other than that, I've been building my own companies. The 1 year that I spent working was actually working for Australia's first accelerator or incubator within Australia called Pollenizer. And so that's where I kind of started my career. And then from there, I've been building companies ever since. My last company, I actually sold to a NASDAQ listed retailer, household name retailer in the States called Joanne. So I exited that company. I've raised millions of dollars in capital, managed large boards. I sold another company to a company called Profitwell, which was acquired by Papple for $200 million. So I joined the advisory board on that company as well. So I've got a bit of a history in startups and building companies, and I've run growth workshops for Google with some of Australia's biggest companies. But yeah, that's a bit about me. I'm an Aussie. You may be able to tell from my accent. Yeah. Hopefully you can understand me. I'll try to slow things down and not use too many Aussie isms. But yeah, so I'm an Aussie. I'm a dad. Got 3 kids. Married. So that's me.
Are you managing the balance between the family life and crypto?
It's tough, like I remember my daughter was born. She's nearly 2 now, and I remember we launched the new Proof, like the Proof token. Yeah. I think it was maybe a couple of months after she was born, and I just remember sleeping on the floor. I had a mattress in my office. And my baby was in bed with my wife, and it's just that hustle, you work, you sleep, you get up, you work again, and just that full-on nature of, this industry is just so intense. Just yesterday, we put on an event, side event, which you guys were at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we wanted to center that event around entrepreneurs and founders that are in the space. Yeah. And the reason we wanted to do that is because everyone in this industry is grinding so hard. Yeah. You guys, other service providers, like the demand is just intense. But we wanted to champion the founders, and they're the reason that we're all here. If there wasn't for the founders, then Proof wouldn't exist. You guys wouldn't be around, doing content and having an audience. It's all about the founders. They're the reason that we're here in the first place. And so, we just wanted to put on a fun day for the founders and let them just relax and have some fun,
we had fun. We went to the desert. We drove the buggies.
Yeah.
And, Fritz was driving the buggy, and I didn't know, but he didn't even have a driver license. So he sat behind the wheel, and he said, yo, guys, I don't know how to drive. Yeah. He literally said, where's the brake and where's the gas pedal?
It was such a good experience.
When we were doing that forward driving part, I just kept looking back at the cars behind us and thinking, I just hope no one tips. In my mind, I'm thinking, Proof, I don't want the liability of someone hurting.
Someone got stuck. Did you notice? We had to push out the guy who got stuck.
Correct.
It was good content, very much fun. Also the food after the dinner.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the events, and we talked about it, that it's, like you said, it's not just a regular event where you go, you stand, you meet some people and that's it, but it was also a fun event to go to, if you know what I mean. So we had a blast, actually.
Yeah, it was amazing. I also feel like it fits Proof a lot.
Yeah.
an event like this. It's
Yeah.
different. It's a bit more risk involved. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Maybe it's good that, especially for the ones that don't know yet, and if you are new here, then don't forget to like this episode if you enjoyed watching it and subscribe to the channels. And also, we have Proof here, so check out Proof platform on X. Try to follow them and see what they do. Maybe it's good that for the ones that don't know yet, what is Proof? Because you're here, especially with a Proof badge.
Yeah.
What does Proof do?
Yeah, good question. So, Proof is a pretty multifaceted business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different stakeholders within Proof, but I think if you boil it down to what we do is we're a Web3 incubator that specializes in fair launches. So we don't do pre-sales, we just do fair launches, and we've kind of carved out that niche.
Yep.
So that is like high level what Proof is. But how we see our role is finding high quality founders that are building interesting projects and presenting that to our investor community. And at the end of the day, as it boils down to that, and that's where our whole flywheel effect comes into place as well, right? If we can find good quality founders launching good quality projects that perform well on the chart, that's going to attract investors to come and want to buy these projects, which is going to bring more volume into these projects, which is going to give more funding through the tax revenue for these projects, which they are then able to utilize and go on to, continue to build their projects out. And then that cycle continues. Good. And then when other projects see good performing projects, that just naturally brings more applications of more projects that want to launch with us. And so that cycle just continues over and over and over again. So as a company, we kind of see we see Proof as like from a funnel perspective, from a business perspective, is in the top of that funnel is finding really high quality projects. And so that's a real key focus for us at the moment is how do we find these great projects?
Is it also one of the most difficult parts of it? Because I can imagine, there's, I don't even know how many projects are there in crypto these days.
Thousands.
Is finding the right or the good quality ones the most tough job of sort of running Proof?
Yeah, I think it really is. I think that's where it comes down to. There's plenty of other hard parts about this industry. Obviously, it's ever changing. From narratives to volume that's being driven into the market through external factors. There's so many challenging parts of it, and lots of it is out of our control. As an entrepreneur building a business, you want to bring as many things within your control as possible, so that you can continue to optimize and tweak different parts of the funnel. But in crypto, there's just so many factors outside of your control. And that's something actually as an entrepreneur that I've had to learn and adapt to, because my natural Web 2 based background has always been think about it funnel. We call it pirate metrics. And the pirate metrics is just because of this acronym, which is R, which is it's just like it. I won't bother going into it because it just takes too long. But there's a whole funnel and a concept around that, and basically what it all means is that you figure out where your customer journey is moving down that funnel, and you optimize different parts of that funnel until you get a really well-oiled machine business. And that in crypto, you can control some parts of it, but there's just so much out of your control.
You can control it.
So that's the hard part, But yeah, well, I think we've really we're hitting our stride. We've laid some really good foundations. I say to our Proof community all the time that we're really building this company brick by brick. And we're playing the long game. It takes time to build a really good quality business. And in crypto, sometimes like people don't want to be patient. So we're such an impatient human nature, right? We want 100x pumps
in a day.
In a day, but it takes time to build a real sustainable business, and that's what Proof is. And I think we've built a really solid base, and then we will optimize and continue to grow from here. But it's all about building that solid foundation and playing the long game, staying patient, continuing to work hard. That's the ingredient for success in this industry, where most people don't want to do that. They want from a founder perspective, they want to be successful immediately. From an investor perspective, they want 100x immediately, and it just doesn't happen like that in the real world.
No. That's because you said it right, the brick by brick. That's one of the things that you really, admire and wanted to know about, right?
Yeah, yeah, they're like, you have mentioned this a lot of time, building brick by brick.
Yeah.
And it sticks to me like, and I always wondered, I always like more of these beliefs or like ways upon you build your business or and the community. Do you have more of like these type knowns you use?
You mean like just sayings or things that are my guiding principles when I'm building? Yeah. Look, I always, I sort of threw it out there already, but work hard.
Yeah.
Stay patient. They're the two big things for me, is that I know that if I keep working hard and I'm willing to be patient for the result, that it will eventually come and break through.
Yeah.
And they're the two things that I really think about always. I had it as a wallpaper on my phone. Work hard, stay patient.
Oh, cool.
And it just reminds me that that's all we've got to do. And if I do that, then it will come. So.
And are those two like principles also in your nature, or is that something you really learned over the years?
Your personal life, maybe as well, with your family, etc.
Yeah, great question. So I'm half Chinese, half Australian. The Aussie in me wants to chill. Yeah. The Asian in me wants to work hard, and that really is from a cultural perspective. Growing up, my mum, who's Chinese, she really instilled that hard work ethic in me, and I guess that's something that I want to pass down to my own kids as well. And I don't really care about their academic outcome.
Yeah.
But what I care about is that they actually work hard and they continue to try. And even if they're not, the brightest, smartest kid in the room, that doesn't matter. But if you work hard, then that's just if you got that principle down pat, then you will be successful. Yeah.
Maybe another question, but how did you actually get into crypto? Because you mentioned a bit about Web 2. You have the other sort of companies that you started, but it's a different thing to get into Web 3, obviously.
Yeah.
Proof is Web 3. But what was your journey like? How did you sort of view Bitcoin, or what was the start of your crypto journey?
Yeah, good question. So I got attracted to the industry obviously because of the money side.
Yeah.
The potential that was in it. So back in end of 2017, that's when I first got into it, the ICO timeframe. One of my friends that was into it for a few months before I was, he actually invested into ICON. ICX.
Yeah.
I did too.
Who remembers that one? And he put $5,000 into it. He pulled $500,000 out of it, right? And so I saw that, and I was like,
I need this
I
as well.
want that. That sounds good. That sounds easy. So I thought, all right, I want to get more involved in that. Started learning a bit more about it. Yep. And dabbled. Did a few ICOs back then. Definitely came in way too late.
Mm-hmm.
I missed the boat on the big gains, and so I put in $30,000. That was my I'm going to dabble. This is my little gambling fund of let's just see and work this thing out.
Yeah.
It went from 30,000 to 50,000, and then went all the way down to like a few $1,000s. Right? Had no idea what I was doing.
Crypto.
Just rode the whole bear market and whatever. Just rode it off. Yeah. So I went away. Continued working on my businesses as I was already doing, and just left crypto for a bit. Then I started getting interested in it again around DeFi summer. So I can't remember if it was 2020, 2021. And remember when SushiSwap was just started, and all these clones kept popping up of different yield farming opportunities. And so these projects would just appear, and another one would launch, then another one, then another one. And essentially what we did was we were just farming across all the different pools that were in this yield farming protocol. And we'd farm it really quickly as soon as it launched, get all the token, and then we'd dump it and then move on to the next one. And we'd do that over and over and over again. And so it made about $1 million doing that.
Nice one.
Right. And so that was good fun. I enjoyed that. And then I kind of still went back to building my own business again. And then I ultimately, sold the business that I was working on. That was the big exit to the NASDAQ listed retail company. Then I thought, all right, now I'm going to become a builder within the space. Started a multi-chain crypto wallet, raised some funding for that. And ultimately, I left that business to start Proof. And the reason why I started Proof was actually I started dabbling again in the newly launched market. And things obviously had moved on from the narrative of yield farming. And it was just these new projects popping up. These utility-based projects were really popular.
Yep. What year is this? Do you know? What time is this?
Oh, what time?
Year.
Probably 2022, end of 2022. No, big start of 2022, maybe.
Because 2021 was the sort of the biggest, the hype, the big one.
Maybe it was end of 2021, start of 2022. So
pretty much after, sort of from that moment on, we went down only.
Yeah. So then I was kind of, just trying to do the same thing, thinking I was successful with the yield farming side.
Yeah.
I'll do it again. But then what kept happening was I just kept getting rug pulled.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'd put money into it, go to sleep, wake up. Oh,
gone.
All right. Try it again. Oh, lost money again.
Yeah.
And it just kept frustrating me. And I thought, why is no one solving for this problem? And I just keep getting rugged all the time. Why isn't there a platform that exists where you can buy a token and you're not going to get rug pulled?
Yeah. And
so I thought, okay, let's build it, And so I left the company that I was working with, the multi-chain wallet. I was co-founder of that. We ultimately decided that, to part ways.
Yep.
And then I went all in on Proof. And we actually, built a really scrappy version of what Proof is today, just to test the concept, launched a few tokens. It went well, and proved the model out. And then, it was quite successful. And so we originally actually were a decentralized launch platform where anyone could go in and launch a utility-based project. But then we just found that the quality just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so it just became this platform where anyone, was trying to essentially leverage our community to get exposure, and they would tax farm instead. Any things gonna get exploited pretty easily, no matter what you do. But we sort of re-looked at our model and thought, let's go to an incubation approach. Let's actually put only high quality projects forward.
Yeah.
And then that has kind of been where we stayed ever since then.
Yeah.
We launched the Proof Pass NFT, which allows people to buy our launches early. They're automatically whitelisted. So we have a whitelist launch approach to our launches. So within the first 2 minutes of a launch, only whitelisted addresses can buy it. That gives us a really nice distribution.
Yeah.
So they can only buy 0.23% of the total supply. There's 222 Proof Pass holders. And actually, the Proof Pass has fast become the most valuable membership-based NFT in all of crypto.
Oh, nice.
So it's sitting at around a 9 ETH floor price at the moment.
Not cheap.
I think it's just under Pudgy Penguins.
Yeah.
It's would be within the top 10 NFTs of all of crypto. And our stats speak for themselves. People, not just the Proof Pass holders, but we recently did analysis on public buyers, so people that could buy in the public period after the whitelist period. And we ran lots of different scenarios. And if you had bought every Proof launch over the past, I think 18 months we did the data on, then you'd be up significantly, up to like a few $100,000.
Nice one.
And so, the data's all there. There's a spreadsheet. Anyone can go on there. There's a Medium article which breaks it down. There's a spreadsheet which you can go and analyze the data for yourself.
The numbers speak for itself pretty much.
Well, the blockchain doesn't lie, right?
Yeah.
So it's all there. Anyone could go in and check it out. So I think we've got a really strong track record now of successful projects. Obviously, the market at the moment has been tough environment for new launches at the moment, really tough. And so, the launches have not been performing as well as they normally do, but the good times will roll back around again, as it always does in crypto. Yeah. So I think we're well positioned.
Yeah. We talk about this a lot, right, in the podcast as well, because the AltCryptoCast, we started our own portfolio, and we started the podcast in, I think, January, right, of this year. And pretty much from that moment on, it went, down, down, down.
Yeah.
And our portfolio is down 50% right now, I think. We still think it's a very good portfolio with proper tokens in there.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that, even us, we're in this for 24/7, pretty much nonstop in crypto. you don't win at all times. You know what I mean? You're also going to lose, and it's just, you go down, you go up, and that's crypto.
Yeah. And look, it's a tough game.
It really is.
I think from the psychological point of view, and a lot of people that'll be watching this have felt these feelings where you can be really hard on yourself as an investor in this space. And no one knows, you can't predict the future. And it's a winnable game because it is a skill-based game that you're playing. But it's also a very brutal game because you are never going to sell the top of every launch that you buy, but you beat yourself up as if you should have sold it, but it's actually impossible.
Yeah.
So you are setting an impossible expectation for yourself, and then you're beating yourself up for not reaching an impossible expectation.
It's what we say as well. Don't try to sell at the top, right? You're not gonna hit that sweet spot. You're also not gonna buy at the bottom. So just try to do somewhere in between. Now, before we move over to a bit more into proof, because I know Fritz has got some questions for you for proof side. There's a small gift I want to give to you.
Okay.
And Fritz actually came up with this idea, which I think is a very nice one. Maybe it's good that you talk about it, how we sort of got to the idea.
Yeah, it's actually started with Shul. So Shul always, in his office, he came in and he would always wear his funny socks. So it kind of became a thing that Shul would wear them, in the podcast.
Yep.
And it was very enjoyable. So that's what the guests have to do.
Yeah, the first episode, I forgot that I wasn't wearing any shoes, but I usually have socks on, and we did it now for this episode with some emojis or whatever.
Yeah.
So it became a thing. So people replied and said, "Hey, you have the socks on, blah blah blah." So it became a thing. So now every episode, I don't wear any shoes, but just some random socks.
Nice.
So Fritz said we need to give a gift.
Okay.
I've got it here actually, and it's a gift with
No way.
your face on it.
That is awesome. What the heck? That is.
And it's got both logos on there as a sort of reminder for all the things that we've been doing.
I love it. That is so good.
Here.
That is so funny. That's the best.
We thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. There you go.
Cool.
I love that. That is so good. Thank you very much. Wow.
Yeah, Fritz, you've got some question about proof, right?
Let's dive a bit deeper into the proof ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think when I look at proof, like I always think it must be hard to have so many stakeholders and like make sure they're all happy and they are benefiting from the ecosystem.
Yes.
So how is it to manage that?
Look, we do have a lot of stakeholders. Because we have our own proof token. So 50% of all the revenue that we make in the business goes to our proof stakers. So half of our revenue automatically just goes there. We've shared over 300 ETH with proof stakers in a little over a year.
300?
300 ETH.
300?
Yeah. That's in a little over 1 year. And so that's going well. So we have, the proof token. We obviously have founders that are launching tokens within the ecosystem as well. So we have to worry about those guys.
Yeah.
Then we have our proof pass community. They're the early investors that are really valuable and really part of our secret sauce to our launches.
Yeah.
Again, as a side tangent, we've done a lot of analysis around our proof pass holders and showing how they compare as holders, how stronger holders they are compared to lots of other high performing projects that are out there.
Yeah.
And we beat it, easy.
Very nice.
Again, the data's all there. People can go look into it within that same article, actually, that I mentioned earlier. So we have the proof pass holders and obviously we work with KOLs and lots of, and the general investor community as well that wants to buy our launches. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, it's actually the thing that we really need to focus on is just have really good performing projects.
Okay.
If we have good performing projects as our North Star,
yeah,
then every other stakeholder is happy.
Yeah.
Right. So good performing projects, then we have good performing projects lead to, high market caps, high volume. High volume leads to more revenue because our revenue is actually tied to the amount of volume that's flowing through. So we take 2% in the first 24 hours, then 1% for the next 30 days.
Okay.
And then our fee drops off completely. So more volume coming through means more revenue. More revenue means more rev share. More volume also means more revenue for the project itself,
Yeah.
which then attracts, more good quality projects to come and want to launch with us. And higher market caps obviously attracts more investors that want to buy our launches because proof projects pump. That's like the core little message that we like to push through into the community.
Merch as
That's
well.
what's on the back of my t-shirt, proof projects pump, and so that really is everything. If we get high quality, good performing projects, that nothing else matters. Everything else in the business works well. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
As soon as projects stop performing well, then proof is irrelevant, right? So that's all we care about is how do we find good performing projects? And then all of our stakeholders are happy.
Yeah. And have you seen the process over time that like the projects that apply or that you get in touch with are getting of higher quality?
Yeah, over time. So I think that what is in our favor at the moment is, we're getting more applications. So we're getting about one application per day coming through right now.
That's nice.
And so I think that's a great, we've had to build up to that level and that's a great start, but I want to get to 10 applications per day.
Okay.
And if we can get more applications coming through, then we're naturally going to get higher quality projects that come out the other end because we're seeing more deal flow. And so, as any VC or angel investor knows, the more deal flow you can see, the more chance you are of picking a winner, right? And so that is, at the end of the day, we're trying to increase our deal flow through partnerships, through brand awareness, through ensuring that our projects are performing well, which then, as I mentioned, is part of the flywheel effect that attracts better quality projects to come and want to launch with proof. And so the ecosystem just gets stronger and stronger, over time. And I think that we would just naturally start getting better performing projects because high quality teams will seek us out because we solve the cold start problem for them.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a founder, standing out in this market is super tough.
Yeah.
Thousands of projects are launching, hundreds every day. How do you get exposure amongst all that? Proof solves that for you. We have a community of investors of thousands of people that want to buy our launches. And so that's attractive to teams. I don't know why it wouldn't be attractive to teams. Teams can make huge amounts of money. Some of our teams have made over $1 million in 1 month from the tax revenue.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's an alternative way for them to raise capital in a market where it's actually quite tough to raise pre-sale money these days.
Yep.
I think that things are moving towards this fair launch model. I see it. And I'm not down on pre-sales. I think pre-sales have their place in the industry. But I think that fair launches are a very great alternative way to launch a token.
Yeah.
And I also think, as much as I don't love the pump.fun ethos and what they've done to the industry, I think that they have actually opened the door to people realizing that this sort of fair launch approach is a very viable way to still launch and build community and reach high market caps. And so that naturally the narrative, I think, is slowly shifting towards people being comfortable to buy these and they're not necessarily buying pre-sales.
Do you think it's easier to filter out projects in a bear market compared to a bull run? And the reason why I ask is I noticed that in a bull run, a bull market, how you want to call it, there are so many projects and literally everyone is doing something. Mm-hmm. And I feel in a bear market, only the ones that are actually doing something and building are the ones that are left in a bear market.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I do. I think, more volume flowing into the market makes it easy for everybody to be successful. Yeah. Right? Everyone wins. Everyone's the bright, even as an investor, you feel smart because everything you put money into is pumping, right? It's I'm actually good at this. Yeah. But no, you're just participating in a market that's actually just frothy at the moment. It's got a lot of volume flowing through. And so, anything will run, in a really good market where there's a lot of volume. In the current environment that we're in right now, much harder. Yeah. And that's when the good quality founders need to come out. Yeah. And the real builders that are patient, like I mentioned, hard work, patience, It's not going to happen overnight.
Oh.
And investors need to realize that. And if people are putting money into projects just hoping for a quick flip, then they're going to just run their wallet down to dust.
Yeah.
It will happen. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But if you put money into good quality projects that you believe in and you are a good investor and you actually think like an investor, a lot of the people that are investing in this industry are gambling because they don't have an investor mindset where they're actually trying to evaluate, is this project a good project? Is this a real business? Does it have a chance of getting real traction? But they're just like, they're just trying to make quick money. And that's just a very fast recipe for disaster.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. That's what I think as well. It's easier to, I wouldn't say easier, but it's just a lot more efficient to filter out these projects in a bear market compared to a bull run.
Yeah.
And one question I had is usually, and how I sort of think of proof also is, I usually mention it as a launchpad. But you, in the beginning, you said more an incubator. Maybe it's good to explain a bit to listeners, what's the difference between a launchpad and an incubator? Because there's so many launchpads, but there are less incubators. What's the difference?
Yeah, look, I think a launchpad is really just putting forward a project to an investor community. What we do is, yes, we do that, but we from the incubation side of our business is that we work closely with the founders in order to what we call get them launch ready. And so launch ready just means that they fulfilling a bunch of, basic and complex things that put them in a position to be successful. And so one of our jobs that we see is that we need to equip founders with the tools, resources, knowledge on how to be successful in this market. And so we have actually an incubation program that our founders will go through. And it's generally a 4-week program. We like to see projects at least 6 weeks before TGE, ideally longer. Some of our founders have been under incubation for months. And so really when, people are buying a proof launch project, they can be confident that we have done the due diligence on this project. Our application process is really stringent.
Yeah.
And Trent on our team, he's the one that really drives this part of our business.
Yep.
So you apply, when you apply to proof, you have to submit a video of your pitch to us as well, so that we can, because we just get so many pitches, we need to be able to filter them, quickly. Yeah. Then if they pass that, then they're invited to an initial screening call. After the screening call, there's a lot of due diligence that happens on a technical level, on the team level. Yep. Once we're satisfied, it goes to a final interview with myself, and then we accept them or deny them. And if they're accepted, they go into our incubation program, where we continue to work with them. We have weekly check-in calls with the teams, and we sort of take them on the path. And so that is really the difference at the end of the day from an incubation side to just a launchpad. Yeah.
Do you deny a lot of projects?
We do. Most. Yeah. It's quite hard to get into proof now. And I think, to your point about the quality, Fritz, is that the bar has risen, over time. The projects that we're denying now, we would have accepted 12 months ago, to be completely honest. And
that's nice. That's good to see.
Very good,
yeah. And we're constantly trying to increase that bar.
That's nice.
And that's what we need. That's what our investor community wants of us. And we're not perfect. I'm not sitting here saying every proof project is going to be, successful, because that's impossible. Again, coming back to that impossible expectations putting on yourself. Yeah. I'm not here to proclaim, proof projects, every proof project is going to be successful, but I'm here to say if you invest in every single proof project, then you should make good money. Not financial advice.
Yeah. No financial advice here. No advice, just a couple things.
But it's we have a proven track record. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's all I can point to is that we have been successful in the past. Will we continue to be successful? I think so. Yeah. Because I think we've laid really good foundations.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also another big aspect of proof, and I think that's also very relevant to projects, is that you guys have a big reach with KOLs and with influencers in the space. Mm-hmm. How is it to set up this funnel and work with them?
with working with KOLs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So KOLs, you're amazing. We love working with you. Please continue to work with us.
But it's shit. It's
No.
the worst part of the job.
Yeah. To be honest, it is a very difficult part of the process to find good quality KOLs. The hard part is also that some KOLs that were really popular and working really well, driving good volumes in the past, are no longer driving those really good volumes.
Yeah.
And so it's a constant battle of trying to find the best people to bring into a project. And as I mentioned, we see ourselves from a business perspective that we have lots of different parts of our funnel.
Yeah.
Top of the funnel is finding really good, high quality projects, right? And it keeps going down from there. But another part of the funnel is that we want to have really good quality KOLs that are curated that can have high impact for our launches.
Yeah.
So part of our launch strategy is that we whitelist 30 KOLs. And so they get the same benefits as our proof pass holders, which is a 9/8 floor. So they're getting good value as a KOL being invited in to be able to buy our launches. But as a result of being whitelisted, they must promote the project and be a really good supporter. So they need to promote the project pre-launch. They need to promote the project post-launch. They have strict selling rules in place. We track all their buys and sells really carefully. So we actually went away and we built a proper database that analyzes their wallets. As soon as they buy, it gets pushed into our database. Yeah. We know exactly, if when they've sold it, how much they sold, what intervals they sold it at. If they transferred it to another wallet and sold it, we track that as well.
Oh, wow.
And so we then know these KOLs are playing by the rules and they're not harming the project, right? As a KOL, you should be helping the project. That's the whole point of the reason we're bringing you in. Yeah. If you're harming the project by just dumping the supply that you've bought, then we don't want that. That's not helpful. Yeah. And so it's just going to take time in order to curate this list. But KOLs recognize the strong track record that we've had and they want to work with us. Yeah. So we have KOLs DMing us all the time trying to get into our launches. Okay. And so over time, it's just going to get better and better. We're not 100% there yet, not satisfied that we have the best 30 KOLs for every launch. And the other thing is you want to keep them fresh as well and spread it around. And you don't want to see the same 30 KOLs promoting every project either. Yeah. And so, there's a whole thing there, right? Yeah. There's so much work that goes into just that aspect of the business. And we have a lot more work to do there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very good part from Proof that this is added to the funnel. If you also look at the whole funnel of importance, so you said, okay, quality of the project is like number one. How would you scale the Proof ecosystem?
Yeah. So, definitely the number one most important thing in my mind is finding high quality projects. Yeah. That's all I want to do and I think as a business, we will be successful if we can get really good, high quality projects. And so, from a branding, from a partnerships point of view, from deal flow perspective, that's really where our core focus is right now. Yeah. Is to strengthen that part of our business. Because if you get high quality founders coming in and launching projects with Proof, then good quality founders know how to be successful. They will work it out. Bear market or not, they will find a way to be successful. They've got that drive in them, right? You want that. We want that from the founding team. And so I think that is the most critical part of our process. The next part down in our funnel is our incubation program and equipping founders for success. And so if we were honing in on that part of our funnel, we would be improving our incubation program. What resources can we write? Where do they need the most help? Where's the gaps in their knowledge and how can we help them on that? And just building out that program to be more robust. Okay. So that would be the next part of our funnel, right? And then there's the whole investor side of our business. How do we get more people? We've got a Proof Launch Alerts channel. So as soon as the Proof project launches, it gets pushed out to a channel which has thousands of people in that channel wanting to hear about our launches. Not only that, but that launch alert bot is also installed into lots of different crypto communities and Telegram communities because they want to the owners of these communities, they want to have good quality projects that are presented to their members. So as soon as a proof project launches, it gets pushed into that Telegram group as well. And so over time, if we were trying to increase the exposure to investors, that might be one area that we focus in on. How do we get that proof launch alert bot installed into more crypto communities so it just has more exposure?
Yeah.
And so there's just like so many different facets of our business, and we know that focus is really important. There's so many shiny objects in crypto, right? And the amount of DMs I get, I love getting, feedback, but we can't do everything. If we try to chase every shiny object, Solana utility projects are popping off. Let's go chase that shiny object.
Yeah.
And we're just going to get distracted, right? But as a business, if we focus, then we're going to get a better result in the end. And that sometimes means saying no to what seems like good opportunities to explore.
Yeah.
But I know that if we stay focused, then we will eventually have a really successful business.
Yeah.
And apart from staying away from the shiny objects and sort of the KOLs managing, you guys have been here for quite a while now. What would you say has been one of the most toughest things that you guys had to overcome, or any problems or things you guys had where you'd say, you know what, this was a real pain in the ass?
Yeah.
Perhaps for the ones that are listening that are interested in it.
Yeah, I think in this industry, you're going to have bad actors that try to exploit you, really. And in the past, we have had some teams that come in that we thought were great, but they have not had great intentions. And so that's a really disappointing, really frustrating part of what we do. But it is an area that, we can do better in with our vetting process. We need to get really good at figuring out, is this founder legitimate or not? Do they have good intentions? That is like a very key part of our process. That's why if we have an interview with this founder when they're pitching us, if they have their camera turned off, that's a big markdown. Because we're like, well, why have you got camera turned off? You don't necessarily need to be doxxed, to launch a project through Proof, but it's definitely a big plus. If you're building something legitimate that you believe is going to be successful, then why do you not have an incorporated company? Why are you not putting your name and face behind the business? There's some alarm bells around that. And I get the whole anonymity, decentralized aspect of crypto. I understand that. But if you're building a legitimate business, then
you need to show some.
And so that has been a challenge. We have had a couple of instances where things have gone wrong, where the team has, done some things that we definitely wouldn't condone. That is like a hard part of Proof, and that will happen. I guarantee it'll happen again because we will get it wrong from time to time. But that's part of the game. But it is an area we are conscious of and trying to improve as well.
Yeah. I was just thinking while you said this why is it actually called Proof?
Proof?
Yeah. How did you come to the name Proof?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking you were saying you need to show yourself.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. It was kind of like around that concept of being rug proof.
Rug proof. Yeah.
So
that's one.
that was where the name got derived from. I actually forgot why we even called it Proof for a second. I was like, why did we call it Proof? Sounds cool, but yeah. I think it was like the play on words, rug proof, and people would say proof of stake and all that, so
a good one. Yeah.
And I used to go to conferences with Proof, and people would stop me and go, "Oh, are you Proof Collective?" Now no one says that to me.
No,
so we've outlasted those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
That's nice. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So to organize all these facets of the business, how is your team, and how many people are working with Proof, and some partners you are working with?
Yeah, good question. So we've got quite a few on the team. We're only 2 full-time on the team. And then, we have socials manager. We have 2 or 3 community managers that are paid, not just volunteers. And we have engineers. So we have 2 engineers and we have a Solidity engineer as well. So 3. We have 2 back-end engineers, front-end engineers, and Solidity. So that really makes up the team. We're really lean, we run a lean ship. We're we're a bootstrap company at the end of the day as well, and we need to be highly profitable in order to have longevity, right? Yeah, and we've proven it, and we've been around a long time. The first version of Proof was actually called something different back then. It was called Hacker Labs DAO, and we evolved and migrated into the brand of Proof.
Yeah.
And that was launched in early 2022, February of 2022. So it's what, 2025 now, right?
Yeah,
so that's like a
3 years.
lifetime in crypto.
Yeah.
And that longevity is important to me, as a founder. When I do something, I've committed to it. I've got energy for Proof. I feel excited about the potential that Proof has. My last business that I exited to that NASDAQ company, I did that for like 12 years.
Oh, wow.
With that long, I've got staying power.
Yeah.
I'll have to pull me away from Proof, right? I believe in it. I believe it has its place in the industry, and I believe it will be a huge, huge success.
Yeah.
There's no other fair launch incubation company out there that is doing what we're doing to the level of success that we're doing it, and I think we have so much further to go as well. So it's exciting days ahead.
Yeah. Sort of to almost wrap this up is, where do you see Proof in the next cycle, the next 3 to 5 years? What do you have sort of for coming up in the next couple of years?
I don't know if I want to
let's say
what's in the future. There is plans. There is some big, interesting things that we have been discussing. Again, we've parked some of this stuff because we don't want to get distracted.
Yeah.
But we have a pretty big vision for where Proof can go.
Yeah.
But at its core, it is, as I mentioned before, we've laid some really strong foundations in Proof. So in my mind, it's doing more of what we're already doing, but better.
Yeah.
Do more, better.
Yeah.
And so I think that we just need to optimize what we already have. We've got good projects that are launching that are performing well. Let's get better teams, better performing projects that everyone's enjoying buying, right? So we just want to continue to do that. And I think that if we have that as our goal, then we won't get distracted. We're just doing what we're already doing, but keep just leveling up, right? Keep optimizing, focus on one part of the funnel at a time, just keep growing over and over and over again. And then, everyone will be talking about Proof soon. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. I mean, in a couple of years when we sit down here again, and let's see what Proof is at.
Yeah.
And see if everyone's talking about it. Now, also, let's say someone's listening this right now and says, you know what, this sounds very nice. I want to get started with something on these launches, etc. How would you say, you need to do this so you can get started? What's the easiest way for them?
Yeah, so it depends who you are. If you are a founder that's interested in launching a project with Proof, you can go to our website, proofplatform.io. If you are an investor and you're interested in, buying high quality utility based projects, then you can go to our launch alerts channel, which is t.me/proof launches. And that'll get you access to our launches, and just join the Proof community on Telegram and ask questions. You can DM me, DM my team, and you'll be able to learn more about Proof that way.
Yeah. We'll put in these links in the description as well, so people can check them out.
Perfect.
And obviously follow you on X, I guess. I mean, you have your own page. You also have Proof platform.
Yeah.
Are there some things that you say, we need to talk about this? We haven't shared this yet. Anything that you want to say?
No, I think it's covered pretty well. Yeah.
All right. Fritz, you got anything?
Yeah, theirs was actually, I think we covered most of it. There was one question from the community.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're right. We actually asked. Yes, you're correct. Good to mention it.
So we have Freedom. I like the name.
Freedom. Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah, we all want freedom.
DR39722.
Okay.
How did you get started to where you stand now?
How did I get started?
To where you stand now. Yeah.
Right. Well, look, I think it just goes back to the entrepreneurial journey that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
I could go into a really long story around my first business, and it was a crazy, crazy ride, but we might say that for another time. But I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. My first real business was at the age of 21.
Okay.
And yeah, you know, like people would find this funny. I actually studied to become a high school PE teacher. So sports teacher.
Yeah.
That was what I went into uni to study.
Wow.
You know, just
Something different.
completely different.
Yeah.
And not like, not me, right? I can't even imagine that would have been my life, right? That's just not who I am.
Yeah.
But the entrepreneurial bug has always been there. I've built lots of different companies, you know, and, you know, we already went into how I discovered crypto and everything like that. And this proof is really just a culmination of all my experience of many years. You know, like I said, I'm 40 years old. I'm a dinosaur. Look at my grey hair and my chin.
Especially in crypto.
I'm just trying to keep up, you know, like it's intense. The pace of this industry is it's exciting and it is exhausting at the same time.
Yeah. Do you play sports or did you drop the whole sport parts?
Fritz.
I mean, you need to manage your life between family, the business, sports.
Yeah.
I mean,
now you're digging up some wounds.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I used to be really like quite a fast sprinter.
Oh, really?
Ran some big competitions and I was quite good at it, naturally good at it. So I was naturally, you know, athletic and sporty, whatever. But now 2 years ago, I tried to run it. I was telling my kids, Dad used to be fast. I was so fast. And then there was a parent-teacher race at the end of his sports athletics carnival.
Yeah.
And as I took off, I made it about 3 steps down and my quad just popped.
Oh.
And in front of his whole school, his dad's like there, limping, had to get a chair for me, the ice pack. I'm like, yeah, the glory days are
They're
well
over.
and truly over.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely not sporty now.
No.
Yeah.
All right. I think with that, we let's wrap it up.
Cool.
I want to say, obviously, thank you to everyone that has been listening. If you enjoyed watching, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're a big fan of Proof, check them out. Leave a comment as well. I want to say thanks, obviously, to Fritz and also you, JP, for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited for what we're going to see for Proof. We're a big fan, so let's see what's going to happen.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Yeah.